Yeah, so Freshly Stacked was, I was in Wasaic during residency, and that was, I wanted to paint what was around me. I wanted to paint like the nature, and I wanted to be like very painterly with that piece. Um, and it kind of came out of like working. It was a weird piece because I was in upstate New York, and I started it, and I started painting this white barn, and I started painting some of the foliage. So it was fall, and I was trying to use some of those colors and like, make a painting, like a painting, like a normal painting almost, like, but obviously it's not that easy for me to do that. So like the top left diagonal section of it is like this white barn within this fall foliage. At the very top, there's this mountain range that you can see, it's blacked out. And one of the really impressive things about like upstate New York to me was that, even especially in Wasaic, because you're in the valley, was that you walk out and you're like looking off, and you're like, oh, that's the sky. And then you like look up more and you're like, no, that's the sky. I'm looking at a wall right now. Like, it was really like romantic and different. It was really weird. So I love that. And we talked about it a lot, me and my friend Joe. And so that kind of came into the piece. And like I said, I already started the piece and I was rearranging it as I was working on it. So you'll see like little fragments of like ASCII up in the upper half, and things are kind of moved around and assorted and mixed. And because I was painting it and rebuilding it at the same time, which I thought during the residency would be a nice like thing to explore as well. Is like, I wonder if I start moving these around as I'm working on this and kind of reapproaching every problem that kind of comes up, repainting over stuff. So it was a really fun piece to work on. And then at the bottom right, I had a bunch of material that I resourced from a person that I was staying with in upstate New York. I had a house sit for like a week. I had this old gnarly deck. So I bought a bunch of canvas and started making rubbings of the deck while I had a chance. And that's, so in the bottom right, you'll see a lot of wood grain texture and stuff like that. And that's all resourced from this deck of this house that I was watching. And then the symbols on it is it's a stack of firewood. And I was trading firewood for work. When I was at residency, we were using to start fires. We were getting this wood, but we didn't have trees to chop down because we were just a bunch of artists living on in this big house. So I would go like trim a lady's bushes for a stack of firewood, or I would like go to someone's house and stack all their firewood and get to take a little bundle with me. So firewood was kind of like turned into this currency, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Which is really awesome. I love that. That's like my style of life. So, and then I was, through the piece, I was working with ASCII before that, this, typical like keyboard language, right? Like, semicolons and question marks and stuff like that. And I thought, I wonder if I can kind of start making my own. And I started bending them and making segments of line and kind of reassembling them and putting them together. So, you get this kind of funky thing going on with the stack of wood where sometimes they're in dashes or they're just like a half a bend and stuff like that. But yeah, so the piece was like right when I was coming out of residency, I was feeling pretty good about, everything like with the relationship and stuff like that. And it was kind of like this new adventure. Everything was freshly stacked. And it was like this new, the energy was there. Wood is energy. And then, I wanted to get colorful with it too. And Mosaic was a really kind of amazingly colorful place. And I wanted to make something brighter and pull in more, brighter colors.
So, and that's, where does the purple come from? Because the body, all of them have the consistent purple.
Yeah, so the purple, I mean, it's funny that you ask. So from being a printmaker, one thing we would always try to get some of the artists to do is like use like fluorescent purple or fluorescent pink. And like no one would do it, maybe MICHEAL would do it. But like no one would really go for that. And we'd always be like, it's going to be awesome. Like it's like, and purple's it's so masculine and feminine, and when I was in grad school, I was working with a lot of those subjects, and I thought, like it's right in the middle, I feel like, and it just has this like easy way of going into paintings. Just like I always say pink, like light pink for myself, I could always put it into a painting. It just always worked for myself. And purple's kind of that same way. I feel like it's tough, but it's so soft as well.
Mhm.
And when I was printing, that was always a challenge for other artists. So sometimes I challenged myself like that as well. And in a historical way, as dorky as this sounds, I went out to go work for Michael Heiser, and I was working on large sculptures for the Gagosian exhibition he had. And so he loves using purple. So I always say it's kind of a nod to Michael Heiser, and it's also a nod to my boss, John Paul Russell at Durham Press, as this way of, getting some kick into the piece. And Michael Heiser is kind of this really tough, rough artist, land artist and stuff like that, but his pieces will often have a lot of purple in them.
Yeah.
And so I just always kind of connected with that. And I really, it kind of as like a historical lineage to keep that in my own work as well. And I think I've even put nods in like live stories and stuff and be like, this purple's for John Paul or this purple's for Heiser, So it's just like a nod almost to some of my mentors.
I love them. This is so great. Thank you so much for doing this.